A voice in my heart helps me move forward. Life is no longer stranded. The world is grand. Life is in my hands. Love always helps me move forward. Always cultivate before time fades away. Time passes, blink of an eye. We cannot go back in time. Let's get together and strive forward. Love always helps me move forward. Make my life shine and be the star of life. It's always bright. Love always reminds me to move forward. Time is ticking and slipping away. Love always reminds me to move forward. Winds blow and clouds come and go. Love always reminds me to move forward. Happiness in my hands. Life is so grand. A voice in my heart helps me move forward. Life is no longer stranded. The world is grand. Life is in my hands. Love always helps me move forward. Always cultivate before time fades away. Time passes, blink of an eye. We cannot go back in time. Let's get together, stride forward. Love always helps me move forward. Make my life shine and be the star of life. It's always bright. Love always reminds me to move forward. Time is ticking and slipping away. Love always reminds me to move forward. Winds blow and clouds come and go. Love always reminds me to move forward. Happiness to move forward. Winds blow and clouds come and go. Love always reminds me to move forward. Endless happiness makes my life so grand. An amazing life is always in my hands.
Hello and welcome to our Super Life Secret Codes online workshop. My name is Ryan Sway, and first I'd like to thank Master Sun for providing us these great tools to improve our lives. I also want to thank our panelists and all the participants from around the world. Super Life Secret Codes teaches us how to take control of life using energy management. The book was written as a life manual, focusing on the two codes of love and gratitude. If used properly, these two codes can help us achieve success in every aspect of our lives. Excuse me. Good evening. And again, tonight we are reading in the Abundance book. And tonight we're talking about a few different topics, but one I want to kind of highlight is being calm. Like, as we talk about energy management and Super Life Secret Codes, the name in itself is, how do we manage this energy, and how does that translate into everyday life? One of the sections we'll be reading about is how to stay calm during certain situations. And in an earlier workshop today, we were talking about why is it people react and blow up in situations. Whether it's an argument, yelling match or fight, whatever the case may be. And most of the times, good people get into arguments. They have good intentions. Again, they are good people. But I think something that we don't recognize, especially when we don't know how to manage our energy, is what we're dealing with when someone, talks about a hot topic or something with a lot of, say, negative energy behind it. The example that we used in our earlier workshop in this conversation is that there's when someone else is upset, or sometimes we don't know this, but when someone else has a lot of negative energy, it's like that's the fire. And we, as the other individual, we think, oh, we're going to help, put out the fire. And so we contribute what we think is, say, water. But unfortunately, we don't always have water. We have our own energy, and sometimes it's negative energy. So as a result, we actually put gas into that fire. Now that fire becomes unmanageable, and the other person who was doing their thing, now they feel threatened because, the fire's getting bigger. And so you become that contribution to make this fire even bigger. And that's where, if you think about different arguments people have, and we talked about like relationship, even with children, and just even amongst friends, this type of kind of a pattern is very common. And if you ask most people, if you separate them after the fight and you say, hey, are you mad? Or is something wrong? Did you mean to get into this fight with the other person? A lot of times the answer is no, I wasn't. But they said this, they triggered this negative energy, they sparked the flame, and then that, in combination with the other person's energy creates this kind of fire, and it gets bigger and bigger. So keeping that in mind in terms of managing this energy, The idea that if you can be calm and kind of take a step back, and the term I like to say is give yourself time and space. And so we use that same example in the conference room we were in. We said, what if there was a fire on the table in front of us? If that table was made out of concrete, there's not a whole lot to worry about. If you let it sit for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, that fire may burn its fuel, paper, whatever it is, it burns itself out, and then it becomes nothing. But for most people, fire in your room, you think, oh my God. But if you put it in a different perspective, a fire in your fireplace in your room, that's what you want. People, they like it. It's romantic, it's calming, it's nice. So under different circumstances, this fire thing can be, good, but then it also could be bad. But the thing that, I want to kind of emphasize is when we deal with things, and this is something that all of us can kind of manage, like reflect on and say, did I blow up in a situation, and then why? And that's what we did in this workshop earlier. We kind of reflected on different incidents with each other and asked, what was the response and why? And, one of the participants, it was because of her son. And as a parent, we always worry because we don't want our kids to be hurt or, make a mistake, get in trouble. And so that fire becomes bigger for us. We think if we don't do this now, it's going to be really bad. But if you have parented for a while, you realize that even when you try really hard to do something, it doesn't immediately get fixed. It may take your kid 5 times before they figure it out. So that means they make that same mistake 5 times, and yet they're okay. But when we think about it, we start to get really nervous or we panic, and that energy translates onto someone else. So that's what I mean by it. If you panic, you're like adding fuel to the fire. And what will happen when you add fuel to a fire? It will get bigger. And a bigger fire is harder to manage, right? So this is something that if we can manage our energy better and realize that, yes, sometimes it goes up and down, as does other people's energy. If we can learn how to take a step back when we see someone else has a lot of stuff going on. So it's kind of like if you see something on fire, you take a step back, you figure out what's going on and how to, put it out, or if you should put it out. We don't immediately just grab everything around us and start throwing it at the fire, right? Because what if you grab something that's flammable? Then, again, that fire becomes bigger. So as we think about energy management, we have to recognize not only ourselves, but other people. And once we can understand other people's situation, I wish everybody had a gauge like right there next to their face, and you could see, well, this person, lots of negative energy, so we know how to react to that, right? And then this person, lots of positive energy. If we had that in our lives, it would be a whole lot easier. If I saw Amy and it's all negative energy, then I would say, okay, Ryan, I need to stay calm because she's already very upset at something. It may not be with me, but if I knew that, I could, react differently. And so these are the things, as we learn Super Life Secret Codes and then we apply this to find that path of abundance, these are simple daily things. If you can monitor your own energy, so let's say the world's not sophisticated enough yet that everybody has a gauge of what their energy is showing, but we can have one of our own towards ourselves, right? I think that's fair to ask of each other, that you kind of know your own energy. Are you highly positive energy right now? Are you agitated? Is life full of stress? Different things that we should know. And then we should be able to at least manage ourselves. If you're already a little bit upset, maybe don't go get involved with something to get more upset. Maybe take a step back. So one of the sections we are going to be reading about, it says, being calm during anomalies. So again, having this ability to manage our energy, especially when something comes up that surprises us, that we're not used to, that maybe we don't like. If we can manage our energy better, then we can manage the outcome better. Because I think for all of us, and Amy and Vivian, you guys can both kind of chime in later and think about this, But we all kind of have a pattern, a reaction to things. And think about those things that piss you off and the reaction, that you have when you're pissed off. There's a pattern to that. There's a lot of data to that. It literally is a reaction. It's like a button. You press it and this happens. I know I have it. I'm pretty sure most everybody has it because it's happened to us, right? Something pushes your button and you have this reaction. So what if we could erase that? And another part of the section we're going to be, it is called resetting your program. So if we could go in and we can take out those moments, and next time someone pushes your button, it's not the same reaction. And that's, what Master Sun teaches us about mind switching. If I used an example earlier today, if you're walking down a hallway and someone comes and just runs and knocks you to the ground, initially you're going to be shocked and probably scared and upset. Like, why would someone knock me down? But if this person was like blood all over their face, being chased by someone with a knife, you would run too. You wouldn't even think twice. You wouldn't go, how dare you knock me over, right? Because that situation requires a different reaction. So the example is kind of unusual and probably unlikely, but the point of it is, I think you can recognize that when your mind tells you something is unusual or kind of extraordinary in the wrong way or remarkable in the wrong way, you have an ability to react and you could act differently. But if we use our same program, we'll react. We may fight when we should flight. Like, think about that. Sometimes something happens to you and you should actually be running away, getting away. But you're so mad that you're looking for the person to, fight with. And then at that moment, that's when, things go wrong. That's because that's our reaction to things. That's our habit. And so we really want to think about that as we think about energy management as a whole. And again, when we can manage our energy well, you actually can see other people's energy better. Not to say 100%, but you have a gauge. You can realize that, hey, like, I know Vivian's in accounting, and as we get to the end of the month, I know that she has to do these big reports. She's going to be busy and probably have more, not necessarily stress, but she has more work to do. So those are not probably the days of the month that I want to be calling Vivian and saying, hey, let's go out, let's do this, let's do that, like try to take, because she won't have the time because we know this. So, little things like that, as you get to know how to manage yourself and kind of monitor and measure yourself, you will get a better way, have a better chance to monitor and kind of measure other people's energy. And that is what can create harmony in a very simple way. And unfortunately, that also can create kind of chaos because, again, if we mismatch this timing and energy, other people can react, the wrong way. So I think tonight's couple of these sections we'll be reading are really important if you can kind of combine these together. And that's one of the secrets of Master Sun's teachings is he teaches us all these different lessons. But if you individually, they're great little pieces of advice and tools, but if you can combine them together, then you really can maximize on the benefit of it. So that's what we're going to be reading and talking about tonight. Before we get into that, I'd like to introduce our panelists. We have Amy from Las Vegas, Nevada, and we have Vivian from Walnut, California. Okay, again, the format of the book is a dialogue between Master Sun and a student. I will be reading Master Sun's section. So if you hear my voice, it's Master Sun's words, and Amy and Vivian will be reading the student section. So if you hear their voices, then those are the words of the student. Okay, I believe we will begin, Vivian and I will begin on page 154. Let me set this up real quick. Okay. Fourth, embracing abundance. Strategy 4, resetting your program. You need to hold a steadfast faith to continuously attain breakthroughs and give yourself plenty of opportunities within a limited time span to identify the right direction and persist through. In the process, you may bump into anomalies or challenges, but if you persevere, you will see the light at the end of the tunnel. I have seen many people who persevere. Eventually, they became highly successful people. Remember, you can't move the hill, you can only lay the road surrounding it. You can't move the road, you can only change your route. You can't change people, you can only change yourself. You can't change your heart, but you can change your mindset. You should always be prepared to challenge yourself.
They are closely interrelated.
This is programming. Programming ourselves to a specific level where we want spiritual growth and we want breakthroughs in our lives, but we have given clear instructions to ourselves. But have we given clear instructions to ourselves? Have we set a goal? Is our goal precise enough?
Indeed, without clear instructions, we'll be unable to set a clear goal.
We need to set very precise instructions. Whether you have set it correctly or not, you will see it from the results. This serves as our report card. A failed result will prompt you to correct your settings, or else it will be a big flop.
Would modeling a successful icon be an example of setting too?
Yes, your settings become the goals you go after. Set them up according to your present capability and upgrade from time to time as you have enhanced your capability. Every time after you have achieved a small step, elevate your goal further. This allows you a more realistic pace of continuous self-enhancements and achievements, which you will feel more confident on working with. Next, you need to deal with issues of execution. Abundance is something real, not just a slogan. Remember to avoid having grandiose aims with limited abilities. Set realistic but motivating goals. Once you have upgraded yourself, the possibility of you failing should reduce. Think about this. Where are you different from the big bosses?
I have a relatively lower capability and a lack of experience.
Yes, you need to face your real self. Lying to yourself will only lead to confusion, unrealistic wishful thinking, and thinking about how great you are. But over time, you end up losing yourself, spoiling the original well set plans and progress, and wasting precious time in life. At this point, let me ask you a question. When abundance comes knocking at your door, are you ready to face it, accept it, and change your life?
Wow, I'm full of confidence and committed to get myself ready after listening to Master.
Excellent. As long as you know what you are doing and what you want, then avoid complaints and be yourself. Whatever you are doing now is to prepare yourself for a brighter future. The, the God of fortune will come knocking at your door anytime. We do not know how, but it is proven by so many beautiful testimonies within our system. Abundance will soon become the byproducts in life. Okay, we can pause there. Would you like to share?
Yes, yeah, thanks for letting me read this section. Masters are here teach us, have we given clear instruction to ourselves? Have we set a goal? Whether our goal is set correctly or not will eventually be reflected in the results. That is why Master Sun constantly remind us to look at our daily report card. Are we earning an A or an F? The grades we receive are not from others, but from our own daily cultivation. When I think of this, it reminds me of an incident that happened today at work. Ryan is right. We just finished the month end close yesterday. And then every month end after we close the book, our team has to prepare a detailed financial analysis. And then we have to examine each accounting account, compare the figures with prior months, and provide explanation for any increase or decrease. We have to list the reason. And this is a major task. And then it requires patience, accuracy, and a clear mindset. And 4 coworkers are in charge of their own sections. And while I have to review their analysis and then consolidate everything into a final summary. Today, while reviewing their work, I found several issues. Some formulas were incorrect. Some explanations were incomplete, and some analysis lacked detailed information. Because of the deadline is approaching, I had to ask them to fix the problems immediately. Just like Ryan mentioned, the energy. At first, I just feel, oh, I'm stressed. So the energy level is kind of low because of the time pressure. But then, as I reflect on the situation, I try to calm down myself. I realized something. My coworker were rushing to finish the work, and their goal setting seems to be just get it done, okay, rather than make sure it is correct. They just submit their work without carefully checking the numbers. This made me think, shouldn't accuracy be a goal we have to set for ourselves before we send out any file? In our mindset is, I'm done. I submitted. That's good enough. Okay, then whatever result we get, whether good or bad, it's just a natural outcome of our attitude. And then the incident also remind me to examine myself. Have I ever made the same mistake? Absolutely yes. In the past, when handling many accounts and accounting accounts at once, and I sometimes rush too. I submit work without a final check. And then probably I'm just thinking, oh, I should be okay. But when my boss found the mistakes, I feel embarrassed. This makes me realize that this is not her responsibility to catch up my mistake. I should be the one to be responsible for this, for everything. And then that experience also teach me that setting a clear goal, such as always double checking my work, this is not optional. This is very important. People might say, hey, this is common sense, but many people don't practice it constantly. And then it's not about knowing the principle, it's about executing it, just like Master Sal saying here, we have to execute it. And the more I thought about this, the more I saw how this applies to spiritual cultivation. In the super life cyclical system, cultivation is definitely is our own things. No one can force us to change. No one can push us to correct our bad habits. No one is responsible for our progress except ourselves. Without a goal, spiritual cultivation becomes vague and easily influenced by our emotions and then laziness and the bad habits. I believe that every student in Super Life Cyclical System should set clear and then practice cultivation goal. For example, masters are always ask us to check our leaking in our behavior. Do we have negative emotion? Do we have bad habits? Do we have some of the careless thoughts? We have to avoid giving ourselves excuses or reasons, just like messages always want us not to give ourselves excuses. Like, oh, I'm tired today. I will cultivate tomorrow or next year or whatever. This this is not good. And the messages are always remind us we have to learn from our mistakes instead of repeating them. And we have to observe others and learn from their good points. And then we have to definitely, Master Sang always mentioned we have to do the self-reflection every day. And then just GPS every second. And then we have to set a goal to always have gratitude in mind, bless others. And then we also have to when we say it, we have to do it because I realize saying is easier than actually doing it. And then when we set a goal, we must take action, just like a master Sang always mention it. We have to execute it. And then if we take action, we have to follow through. And then the result will definitely appear. Just like our monthly financial analysis report show the result of our work and then also our attitude. And then the spiritual our spiritual report card also show the result of our cultivation. If we can set a clear goals, we take action and then we correct ourselves immediately, our result will gradually improve. I really appreciate Master Song who always want us to gain insight through daily lessons. Thanks for this incident at work today. And then every small correction brings us one step closer to the person we want to be. Thank you. This is just my sharing today. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian, for your sharing. And yeah, as we reflect on the things we do each day, like Vivian said, um, these are the ways that we can become the person that we want to be. And you can't make really any adjustments if you don't pay attention to what you do. As Vivian is an accounting person, they're the ones that have to record all the things that happen, right? Like I'm in sales and I can just go sell, sell, sell. And then at the end of the day, someone has to figure out like all the things that I sold, what amount of money have we really made and all these details. Um, if I didn't have somebody, or I shouldn't say just me, if sales don't have people in accounting, then the sales don't get paid. They don't know what they make, right? You don't even know if you sell this thing today, how much money do you make? Um, and so it's really important that these systems are in place, in companies and within ourselves. Earlier today, I was helping someone, purchase a vehicle. And at the end of it, I was talking to the sales guy and I said, hey, you know what? I know I kind of beat you up today, I really grinded you. But I said, look, at the end of the day, you guys are such, a big company and successful that I was confident that you would not do a bad deal for yourself. So no matter what I bring at you, you're gonna know, right? You're gonna know that I can only sell at this price, nothing more. And that's what we got to in our negotiation. He finally said, look, Ryan, I have to draw a line. Um, I can't do any more. And we were like literally negotiating over like $200. And he just said, look, I really can't do any more. And I said, okay, I trust this person. And that's the detail. So imagine this is a car manufacturer, a big dealership that they can get down to the $200 mark. Like that's how detailed they know where they're at. Ask yourself, how do you measure where you're at? How much of yourself are you willing to give someone? How much of yourself are you willing to, manage or hold back? Or how much of yourself are you throwing at someone in a good way, in a bad way, all these things? Do we have that type of control? I know, this might be a tough question to answer in a sense, but like Vivian, I know you're very detailed with numbers, but as an individual, do you manage yourself as detailed? Like if you should respond to someone with a level 5.1, are you that specific or is it sometimes too much or too little? I know my answer, but I'm curious, as a person that deals with detailed numbers, when you deal with people and your emotions or your energy towards people, good or bad, do you feel like it's pretty accurate or do you feel like it's sometimes just the mood or, the energy in the room?
Right, you are right. Yeah, for the numbers, I'm very careful because the number can talk, especially when we review the financial statements. Each account we have a lot of accounts. We need to check one by one. So I have to be very careful. And then especially when the top management asks the question, I have to answer right away. If I cannot remember it, probably I feel like, okay, I need to figure out what's going on. And then I just have to reply right away. My boss usually don't give me the room for the 1 hour or something. She probably doesn't have the patience for me to answer. So in my mind, I have to have very clear information, the data, okay, in my mind. But to the emotion, before joining Super Life Secret Code, I never check, okay, this is something wrong about my emotion. I probably just reflect right away. But right now, after joining Super Life Secret Code, masters always say, hey, God against our heart. And then the other day, the credit department manager came to me and then say, because she has to work with our tax manager to fix some mistakes that uh, our Oracle system didn't do it right. And then it requires a lot of detailed things. And then I talked to the tax manager. I said, hey, hopefully you and the tax credit department manager can fix this earlier before year end because the auditor will come to audit the number. Right now, I just booked the entry to fix it, but eventually the system has to do it naturally, not go through my accounting journal entry. And then just because of these words, the credit department manager was not happy. She was kind of like loud. She was loud and saying I was pushing her. And I said, I didn't push it. I said, by the end of this year, we have to fix it because it will give auditor the audit point, say, hey, the company didn't have a good process because they have some new transactions. And then because she's new to the company, she didn't have a lot of experience with the auditors. So that's I tried to explain to her in a nice way, but she was so loud. At that moment, in my mind, I have evil points, I have angel points. I said, should I report to HR or should I report to my boss? Because her attitude is so bad. And then, because in the office, we all went to the harassment classes. If someone says something you don't feel comfortable, you can report that person harass you. And at that moment, I decided I just forgive her because I know she was kind of new to this task. She probably doesn't know how to do it. She just lost one manpower. So in my mind, I said, never mind, I forgave her. Okay, she probably is under a lot of pressure, so that's why she's emotional. Even though she was so loud, I still saying respond to her in a nice way. And later she knows she was wrong. But she didn't say sorry, but she just tried to touch my sweater. I said, "Oh, your sweater is so soft." At that moment, I know she knows she's wrong. And then later she told me, "I hope I didn't offend you." And I just feel like, yeah, from this conversation, if before the older Vivian probably would, I would just insist, you are so wrong, you have such attitude, blah, 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 blah. So actually, the older Vivian response will not help each other, will make the situation even worse because we have to see each other every day, right? So I know her style is like that because by working with her for the past few months, I know her style is so aggressive and so emotional and then so loud. So I feel like, okay, she probably needs to learn from the lesson because I'm not the first one, okay, to feel this way. Another department, people also told me that credit department manager has bad attitude. So I'm not the first one to got this experience. So I feel like anyway, she probably is lacking of some uh, uh, energy. So that's why when pressure's on her, she didn't know how to hold on to it. She just boom, blow out. So I feel like when I saw her, I feel sorry for her. You know, she cannot control her temper. She cannot manage her emotion. So this remind me that masters always say, hey, the EQ management is so important. So this is a very live example happen in my office. So I feel like the in the office is a really good place for practice cultivation. Yeah, when you see someone making mistake, you learn from it and you just don't repeat the same mistake. So I feel like learning super cyclical really helped me to watch things and then also I can watch myself too. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Vivian. Yeah, the workplace is always a great kind of environment to recognize things, to monitor, to pay attention, but also to make corrections and then to kind of test. It's a great place to kind of experiment, and it's rewarding when it works in the positive in a good way. So thank you, Vivian, for that. Okay, we'll move on to the next section, and Amy and I will be reading from page 156. Let me adjust the screen real quick. Amy, looks like you start.
Okay. Embracing Abundance Strategy 5, calmness in facing
Anomalies.
anomalies. I am even more confident now. Thank you, Master.
Also, remember, whenever you encounter an issue, the ability to face it calmly and steadily is very critical.
Is this referring to calmness?
Yes.
I always panic and become helpless when I am faced with an emergency.
Learn from these lessons, turn them into your foundation of life. Whether you can achieve abundance has to do with your courage in grabbing opportunities. Stop giving yourself excuses, especially after you have adopted our system.
But at times we face a tough life.
Every day is a new beginning. If today is not good, tomorrow will be better. The day after and days ahead will be even better, as long as you prepare yourself well. If you grab hold of opportunity on time, your outcome will turn out to be great. Face the tough calmly. Keep focusing on how you have invested in and groomed yourself well.
There is homework to be done at every stage. I can't really confirm if I have done it completely and effectively.
Every stage is important. You do what a 20-year-old needs to do when you're at the age of 20. You exercise what a 40-year-old needs to rationalize when you're at the age of 40. If you are a 70-year-old, but you do what a 20-year-old does, your effort will be a waste. You cannot take chances on this. You need to grab hold of opportunity in every stage and execute them well.
At times, I heard the elders reminiscing on their past, retelling stories of glory. However, amongst these stories, though, many contain a lot of memories of regrets. It is very clear that we can't repeat our past.
We need to have real capability. Otherwise, whatever we do is just pure lip service without practical outcome. We should always assess our positioning and strive forward. We are shaped by our past experiences, and we need to be grateful to what we have experienced thus far.
Yes, I assess myself every day. I am brave to face my past, my present, and my future.
Great. These micro adjustments are very important. Without this, you may idle away your precious time. You do not want to get into a stage where you suddenly look around and you realize people around you have attained promotions while you just stayed put, still trying to figure out why you can't achieve your goals.
I understand. We need to ask ourselves if we deserve to attain what we set as our goal. We should also trace down the root cause of our losses, right?
Yes, this is the important part. When abundance comes knocking at your door, the length of stay depends on you. You need to be focused on what is needed and diligently and persistently practice to enhance your ability to retain abundance.
Master, why is this that some people do care about gain and losses, but out loud they say otherwise? It is rather difficult to comprehend.
Life is short. We do not have much time for losses. The people who, after several rounds of losses, still say they do not care are people without wisdom. We should recognize the facts and hold the theories, logic, and judgment consistent to reality. A successful person minimizes the risk. He is very clear with things, but he also works to create breakthroughs and he enhances himself all the time and keeps promoting himself towards abundance. This is a clear example of wisdom in play.
But sometimes I find it rather hard to exercise wisdom in my judgment when friends and relatives keep giving me their opinions.
This is inevitable. If people give the wrong directions and we do not hold the right principles in us, we will end up being easily influenced, leading to confusion in our body, mind, and soul. People with wisdom will grab hold of every opportunity. They will stay highly positive with every person, event, and object that they come across. And with this, abundance will always be with them.
Plus, we need to exercise gratitude every second.
Yes, in life, no matter if you win the lottery or not, you should always stay grateful. If your body, mind, and soul are enhanced, you will encounter beautiful things in your life.
Some people fail to do so and always suffer from chaos, mistakes, and complaints. Does that mean their body, mind, and soul are not in congruence?
Yes, at this juncture, I hope they can realize and self-correct and work hard to avoid generating negative and wrongful actions. Everyone should work towards self-enhancements every minute and every second. We are like a mini universe. We need to grab hold of every opportunity for us to shine and glow with this. With this, we will be able to attract abundance. Let us stop here for today.
Thank you, Master.
Okay, thank you, Amy, for reading. So, as we talk about this topic of being calm through anomalies, I would take it one step further. Just in general, trying to be calm. I'm sure all of you have dealt with someone who's high energy, kind of excited, bouncing around. We call it bouncing off the walls. And then you've met someone more calm. They speak slower. They kind of give you a sense of calmness in their own personality. And then obviously you've met people that are, like I said, high energy, bouncing off the walls. Just talking to them makes your heart kind of pump. There's a time and a place for both of these personalities. What we're going to talk about today is the anomalies in life are oftentimes the things you don't expect, the unusual, the out of the ordinary moments. And sometimes those moments, you do need to be calm. Someone has to be collected to say, like in an emergency, think about it. If you're sitting on an airplane and something happens, wouldn't you want the person to get on that intercom and say, ladies and gentlemen, we've encountered this, whatever situation. Please remain seated, stay calm, everything's under control. We're going to be doing X, Y, Z to, make the adjustments that we need to do, and we will update you in, short period of time or whatever the case may be. That helps everybody stay calm, right? You don't know what's going on, but you know something is happening, but it seems like it should be okay. What if the person that got on the intercom said, everybody take your seats, put your seatbelt, oh my God, we're going to crash. What if they're just very overly excited? Something happened in the cockpit or in the airplane, the motors, this, that, like 10,000 things. Your own mind your imagination takes over. You start to wonder. And with that kind of energy, you can alarm everybody else around you. So it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. We have to manage ourselves in a way and also kind of read the audience, read the room, see what's going on, see what type of people you have around you, right? If you're on a sports team and you're prepping them before the game, sure, you can raise your voice, bring some energy into it, get everybody pumped up because that's what they need. But if you're like, in a boardroom, in a meeting where, everyone's talking calmly, quietly, we need to, compose ourselves in such a way. These are the things that we have to do. And so why is that important? I mean, that's important because that's our energy management. How do we communicate the best? How do we tell someone if they're wrong in a way that they can accept and make an adjustment and make the improvement and solve the problem? That's the goal, hopefully, that we're shooting for. And that's when we need to stay calm in a challenging situation. As opposed to knowing someone did something wrong and just like lashing out at them. and making it about them and you rather than the goal that was presented, or that was the job that you had to do. And if you think about it and you look around in life, I notice that a lot of the stuff I hear people argue about shifts again from what the original point was and becomes about each of them. And the more they talk about each of themselves in this argument, the bigger the argument gets. Because what was a united kind of, we need to do this, A, now becomes I'm B, you're C, and it becomes a fight about two people about two separate things. And sometimes when I encounter this, if I'm physically there, I will ask the question, guys, like, why does this matter to, you're B, you're C, and even if you're right, we're still not getting to A. Shouldn't we focus on how to get A done? That is the job at hand. And when it's presented that way, the two people, it's easier for the two people to make the adjustment. But if I suddenly become party D, so now there's A that needs to get done, but there's person B, person C fighting each other about what they want, and then I bring in person D with another opinion, now it's three people fighting, still not getting to the outcome that we're hoping for, the result that we want. I guess ask yourself, or I'm throwing out the question to you guys. Think about in your past if you've encountered situations like this, where the fight ends up really just being about two other people, not even about the subject anymore. And that's an example of not being calm in a situation. Sometimes not being calm means you blame someone else. How you did this? I told you you shouldn't do that. The I told you so moment. Well, think about it. The I told you so moments typically come after an undesirable outcome, right? If it was the right outcome, you wouldn't say, I told you, maybe you pat yourself on the back and you tell someone, see, I told you how to become successful. But I guess that's a good thing. But in general, when people say, I told you so, it's more like, don't do this. And then when they do it, it goes wrong, you say, I told you so. Parenting has a lot of this, right? We tell our kids, don't do this, or, be careful of this or something. And sure enough, when they don't listen, the mistake happens. And it's an I told you so moment. But those I told you so moments aren't beneficial for anyone. If I show that I'm right and they should have listened to me, but the end result is still a problem, it doesn't help me, whether I'm right or wrong. I'm still having to deal with the problem. So being calm during these anomalies and these situations not only helps you make a better decision to solve the problem, but you become easier to work with to have a group solve the problem. So again, think about those, instances in life where you're with other people and a situation occurs. Are you the one that's keeping everyone together, calm, and moving to the direction of the desired result? Or are you the finger pointer? Or are you the, oh my God, the end of the world person? Which one are you? And how effective are you in getting to the desired goal? So it's really important to keep that in the back of your mind, or in the front of your mind, actually, that you need to stay calm. So I have this saying that I use all the time: give yourself time and space. If you can say that or think that before any situation, I strongly believe that you will be able to make better decisions and more often than not achieve the desired result. If you panic, then it's like a 50-50 at best. And most likely it's going to become worse before it gets better. So again, try to stay calm. And in order to stay calm, you have to be able to manage your energy. And so that's, what I'd like to share about this section. We'll move on to the next section, and Amy and I will be reading and sharing from page 162.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me spotlight real quick. Okay. Six channels and four provisions, unleashing the superpower salesmanship in you. I always say life is like a drama. Every day is a drama. Every occurrence you encounter, every individual you meet, you are an actor. He is an actor. The question is whether the other person wants to be in the cast of your great show.
Yeah, it applies to doing business. If we maintain a good relationship with our customers, we have a great collaboration, this will result in a smooth and a good transaction. Otherwise, we will miss the business.
Some say that selling focuses on meeting customers' needs and making them feel good. However, we should take note to protect our company's interests, especially when we are facing highly demanding customers. Remember that our company still needs to be profitable to survive. Beware of the vicissitudes of life. When we see different people with different behaviors, we recognize that there is no single reference book suitable for everyone. Do you realize that every morning when you wake up and interact with your family, this process involves diligent promotion of yourself?
Since we cannot find a single reference book suitable for everyone to learn about effective sales, does that make it very difficult to be a top salesperson?
Yes, but there are still ways to achieve this. Today I'm going to teach you top selling skills, energy selling.
Energy selling. This sounds like a superpower method for selling. I can't wait to learn from Master.
Energy selling prerequisite one, effective communication. All right, let's start by thinking about this. What are the criteria for a successful salesperson?
I feel communication is the key.
That is right. The very basic foundation for a salesperson is effective communication.
What constitutes effective communication?
Let me give you an example. When you come across a pen, you can immediately list down its advantages. When you come across a glass of water, you can relate to its origin right away, keeping all information accurate and easily understandable.
This is right. Some salespeople are too boastful and dishonest. I do not have a good impression of such people.
Recently, I interviewed a job seeker in the United States. His resume looked impressive. He spoke well and took over the conversation as if he was the interviewer. I then decided to do a further assessment on him, throwing him questions of various topics. He was wavering with his answers, and what he said carried no substance. I am quite doubtful if such a person will be successful.
These people are rather annoying. Their integrity is low. I would rather not talk to them.
Nevertheless, you cannot keep yourself quiet when you are selling. A successful salesperson will work on all aspects to effectively influence his target customers. Without the customer's realization at the end of the process, he has achieved a very effective interaction and established a great relationship.
This is the highest skill of selling, achievements through latent approaches.
Indeed. Let us talk about energy selling. Where does the energy come from? Um, we can go ahead and pause there.
Okay.
Would you like to share?
Yes. I feel that this section, Master Sun taught us so much. It's quite surprising. It's different kind of a take on from the last time I read it. So we learned from Master Sun through many of his weekly class. Master Sun talked about being a super salesperson in everyday life, not just on working as a salesperson, but as a person living in the material world. We are interacting with people, family members, friends and families, neighbors. We are constantly in communication, so we have to have the mindset of being a good salesperson. So having this concept that can make our life much easier because we're constantly sharpen the skill of connecting with people. So just on this little part, I learned about Master Sun says a successful salesperson will work on all aspects. It is so cool because in life we pick and choose who we want to deal with. I'm sure we have our favorite people and some people we kind of don't like, and we turn to only deal with who we like. So, and by doing so, we kind of left these people that we don't like alone. So we're not really improving on how to deal with this group of people. So imagine we treat everyone as our customer because customer is always right. So if this person is right, how do we better service this person and make the relationship a win-win situation? So eventually we all will be benefit. So that is a new mindset. If we can always have gratitude to all people, not just certain people, then our positive energy and our gratitude level will increase because by having more gratitude, we can recharge our positive energy, right? So, and if we say, I only like to do it on these people and I don't say hi to them and these people, then we kind of eliminate a lot of the areas that we can supercharge ourselves. That's one thing. Another thing is over here, Master Sun says, hey, a good salesperson can look at anything and sell it. For example, a pencil, a glass of water, you look at it and you can right away pretend you're a salesperson and tell another person the perks and the what is so amazing about this thing or this product, even a pen. And you can right away say, hey, look at the color, look at the shape of it, look at how easy to hold this pencil. And same thing to practicing gratitude in life. If we can pick anyone and find something unique or something good about that person, that way we can truly implement gratitude on all things, right? So that's a skill. Master Sun teaches us to be thankful to all things, even non-living things. Can we look at the blue sky and be thankful for the blue sky? Look at our go to the kitchen, look, open up the refrigerator and see how full and full of food resources that can give us nutrient and be thankful for the apples and the milk in the refrigerator, something like that. Or go to the office and just look at, wow, there's so many coworkers. Because of them, they're making my day. So if we can always come up with positive note, positive things about all things, we will be benefit and also we will create a positive energy and circulate this energy around and become a positive force, a positive resonance to other people. And this can benefit our family members at home and also at workplace and make everybody happy because our energy is so positive and people can feel it. The other day, I heard someone who said, I saw one of the Super Life Secret Codes members, and this person had so much positive energy, and this person, she can sort of feel energy. She said, I just feel it every time I'm next to this Super Life Secret Codes member. And so someone who's sensitive can truly feel, okay, you have high frequency or low frequency. So this is energy is real. We can't see it, but it's truly there. I want to share about, and also, okay, Master Sun says if we can create this great relationship with everyone, not just our customer. When we are tackling, maybe a customer is facing an issue, if we can have the mindset of how can we solve the problem together instead of you solve the problem yourself. I am selling you something, you're my customer, but when you are facing a problem, and if I take on with you, I collaborate with you and solve it together as a team, this makes your customer feel more confident about you and want to work with you in a long run, not just a one-hit wonder. So same thing to people in our life or coworkers or neighbors. How can we establish a long-term positive relationship is to collaborate and also to be a team. How can we do that? That's a goal and solve problems together and not just being selfish and okay, that is your problem and you're dealing with. If we have that mindset, then we're not really utilizing positive energy. And okay, another thing that I learned recently from one of the Master Son's books, he mentioned about as a cultivator, many cultivators, they choose to go to maybe like Nepal or Tibet or far away spiritual countries or locations to do the retreat, or they think it's a spiritual reset or whatever program that they're running. And because one person actually went and came back and had a question for Master Sun saying that she went to Tibet and had this retreat and she felt kind of emotional when she was there because somehow it triggered her maybe possibly past life memory. And Master Sun says, okay, yes, that feeling came from two reasons. One is like what you said, it can be your past memory could be triggered. That's one. And second, I want to tell you that by going to places like those or like these are good, but it's kind of like a vacation. But if you think of it like you are going to be enlightened or this and that, you're wasting your time because as cultivation, we are moving forward, we are excelling. But if you put yourself in an old version of cultivation, the old program, then you're kind of behind because we're, remember, moving to the new era, we're tapping into the universe. So we have to keep up with what's going on in the universe. Don't always get stuck with the old era thinking and a program because that is not what the future is about. So if we have this mindset, then we really tap into the what is it called? The essence of the universe and the essence of the new era. And also the new program, it's what's in front of us. So which had this particular mindset had shined a light on so many people because there are many cultivators in the classroom and people had been to different systems or religious experience in the past and everybody thought we all did, even including myself, had the mindset of the old mindset of if we want to truly have some kind of transcendence or a spiritual breakthrough, we have to go to some certain place. We have to do certain ritual. But think about it. Master San is teaching us that cultivation is cultivating our heart. Our heart is not affected by time and space. And our cultivation has no break. It's 24/7. So it doesn't have any time limitation or space. So it doesn't have to be there or here or here. It's almost like telling yourself that I can only cultivate from from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. After 5 o'clock, I'm on break. So if don't bother me because I will get mad or I am going to be impatient I'm not a cultivator after 5 o'clock. That it's not true. So we have to have a breakthrough and break away from the old mindset that there's so many limitations. It has to be this and that, because cultivation is timeless, it's spaceless, it's everywhere and anytime. That's my sharing.
Thank you, Amy, for your sharing on that. And yeah, you know, as a cultivator, you know, as we manage our energy, there's no hours to it, like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. type of thing. It's work. Um, if you have that kind of a pattern, then the purity of the cultivation probably needs to be checked, right? Because you know, this is something that should be kind of every, as it says in the books, Master Son always mentions, you know, every day, every second. So this is something that we have to constantly, and I know for myself to do that, it was the beginning of that was very challenging because it's kind of like you're forcing yourself to do a certain thing, and at some point you get tired, you kind of get burnt out. You're like, enough is enough. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like this, the next person that tells me this, I'm just going to blow up. And sometimes we do, because oftentimes we do the things that we think. And if you do an experiment, you know, say that to yourself. If this happens to me one more time, take a study and see if it actually happens to you or not. In my experience, when I think these things, they tend to start to happen, especially when they're negative, and I'm kind of in a bad mood already. So we have to have that mentality that this is a 24-hour thing. We can't, you know, turn it off, like Amy said, after hours. It has to be there all the time. Otherwise, it's not going to stick as well. So, you know, keeping that in mind and understanding that we have to reset certain things. As Vivian shares and talks about, there's a new Vivian and an old Vivian, right? So there's that reset. You go from old to new, that is a reset. So ask yourself, is there an old you and a new you, and what are the differences? And how is the new you continuing to be better? And where will you be in the future at the, you know, path you're going on? And if you're not where you want to be, then you have to adjust that, right? It's going to just be a little more input and you'll get more output. So at the end of the day, energy management is critical. And in order to manage anything, as like Vivian shared with accounting and, you know, all the work that they do, you have to track it. You have to know the details of it, and you have to know what those details mean. So we must manage ourselves to that, to the highest of levels, or the most detailed of levels, to the point that maybe this sound has an effect to you positively. If that's the case, listen to that sound more often. If the sound has a negative effect, try not to listen to it as much. Avoid it, right? These are just very simple things as I say it, but you'd be surprised how many people gravitate to the thing that bothers them. And then they just point and say more. This is terrible. I don't like this. I don't like this. Complain, blame. And it gets worse. So at the end of the day, we have to manage ourselves and our energy. And if we can, then abundance truly is simple. And so with that, again, I want to thank Vivian and Amy for the reading and sharing. I want to thank all the participants online. And last but not least, I want to thank Master Sun for providing us these great tools to improve our lives. Have a great rest of your night in the US and a great rest of your day in Asia. Thank you.